Thank you so much. Uh, as Dr. Batra mentioned, screen gauges, this is the age of screen gauges. And now reels have become one of the most common and addictive source of pastime. How many of you would agree to this? Nice to see. I was watching a reel about a reel. Dr. Batra said it's called waste time, not pastime. I was watching a reel yesterday that was a ranting reel about a reel. Because a reel used to be of a 60 second, then it cut short to 30 seconds, then cut short to 15 seconds. Now, we are watching a 1 second reel. Very interesting. Now, the big question for marketers today is how to keep the customers, the viewers engaged. We will get deeper into this later, but this panel is more about Adtech. We will discuss how in the last decade Adtech has evolved, what potential does it hold. Also, we will discuss how the digital spends are going up, what are you doing specifically with Adtech, and also what do we look forward in next 5 to 10 years, how will Adtech evolve, and how will the whole ecosystem will adapt. Can we start with Tom, and if you can discuss how are you looking at Adtech, and in the last 5 years, how did you see it evolve?
A very good morning to one and all, and thank you so much for the question. So, uh, when I ventured and when I started my career in marketing, like the way in which marketing was looked was very different, or what we learned during our MBA is also was very different. Like around like a decade back, before the digital era or something. So there was a time when the marketers used to buy billboards, TV time, and radio and everything in bulk, and just shoot an ad like to the world, thinking that the customers and the TG would see it. But it has evolved from the time. For example, I was discussing and explaining to a manager and trainee who has joined recently in my team. I was telling her how to ensure that the ad reaches to your customer TG directly. And this has changed over a period of time as well. For example, earlier if I used to have a billboard, if I had to spend 100 bucks, and if it reached to 100 people, I could only wish that 20 of the 100 people who see might be my TG. But it has changed drastically right now. If I know I'm spending 100 bucks, I will ensure that the 100 people who's my TG will see the same. Like the most impactful thing that happened in India, especially thanks to the all telecom providers and thanks to the smartphone penetration, every individual here is actually scrolling through their time and spending unlimited amount of GBs on their daily space. What happened eventually is that when the screen time increases, it is a good time for the marketeers out there, because we know that ultimately the customers can actually is spending more time on their devices, even though a TV is happening or like there is another medium in front of them. Customers are actually spending a time, and I know that a particular customer can be targeted multiple ways as well. So the programmatic ad is one of the biggest thing that happened over the period of time. So a particular customer will be targeted by multiple channels, and he will ensure that the entire funnel of marketing, which we learned over a period of time, happens via the same channel or multiple channels as well. Yeah, so this was the beauty of it. And over the past 5 years, it evolved. It evolved in such a way, like earlier, if my customer used to get targeted by a single channel, now I ensure that like the same customers it's happening via different channels as well. The channels include multiple digital spheres. Even the OOH and the other traditional media also has become more and more smarter. So like that's exactly what I meant by how the entire different mediums has becoming evolving. And the best part is how TGs has becoming evolving and how the entire medium is being evolving. For example, the big data has been played a very vital role in our life right now. For example, especially in the marketer's life. Now I know if I have to target one Tom, like I'll be able to target 100 Toms at the same time, because the entire system is very smart, so that I will be able to make sure that I find the 100 Tom in that particular cohort where I'm able to target. So this is the beauty of marketing, and all thanks to, as I mentioned, the telecom providers and the digital parts out there. And what ultimately I want to end this entire thing by saying, Adtech has been evolving, but the best thing that Adtech is buying right now is customers' time. I mean, they know how to ensure that the time is being taken out from each of their day-to-day life, which is the most useful thing for every marketers out there.
Good to know, good to know. The times are absolutely interesting, huh? Akhil,
Yeah. So
how did you see Adtech evolve in last 5 years? And any interesting encounter with Adtech you must have seen, big brands doing it, you'd want to share it?
before I talk about the ad tech evolution, I want to talk about the how the growth of the overall marketing environment has changed over the years. So if we talk about, let's say, if we go about 10, 15 years back, it used to be about the TV advertising, print advertising, radio advertising. I'm not saying that they are not relevant right now, but the thing is that what Tom also actually said, digital lets you kind of reach out to your TG not only for a single time, but also through multiple channels. So this is how in the last 5 to 8 years, digital has grown too much. If we talk about COVID also, people have been started spending time home, and if they are spending time home, they are using more of their smartphones. So that's how the digital has grown in the last 3 4 years. Now, if I talk about the ad tech as a medium, ad tech mainly refers to the software or the programs through which advertisers reaches their publishers or the target audience. So ad tech has also evolved in the last, let's say, 5 to 8 years. Uh, Earlier, what used to happen is that if I am an advertiser, if I have to reach out to a particular target audience, I will reach out to a publisher. Let's say the publisher could be a Times of India, Hindustan Times, or any other publisher for that matter. But the whole ecosystem or the environment has grown in a sense that there are tools and softwares which can let you uh, reach out to the target audience directly without reaching out to the publishers. So this is how the ad tech has evolved over the last 5 to 8 years.
Now I understand that you invested your time with Nokia as well, huh? And it's been 10 years, 12 years now, but tell us what is something that stands really, really drastically different to you in this whole ecosystem? What has evolved? What is now different? And also your insights on how EdTech has evolved.
First of all, thanks a lot for inviting me here. Um, I think I concur with both Akhil's and Tom's point on how the inventory has evolved, how the targeting has evolved. It makes our life a lot easier when you're planning something. Uh, there are two aspects I feel that which I've seen drastically change over the last decade or so. Is that first is that GTMs have become much faster. If you want to plan a campaign, it's much faster than a campaign. Obviously, the bang for a buck, which is the campaigns are leaner. So I don't need to target the whole audience. I need to have a cohort I want to target. Okay. Uh, so I was saying that the campaigns have definitely become leaner, but the important thing is that when a campaign used to be planned, it used to be planned a week in advance, or 2 weeks in advance, or 3 weeks in advance. If I want to start promoting a new feature, or in case a new product, I can go live, I can plan it today, I can go live tomorrow. GTMs are much faster. So it builds velocity into whatever we are doing. I think the second biggest advantage that AdTech offers, and especially AdTech of today, it offers is that as long as Anurag mentioned, the fundamentals are clear, the dependence on human intervention or dependence on a capability of a person executing that media plan has reduced. So it is very less likely that a human error will cause a problem in a campaign execution or a media plan execution, which used to happen a lot. Now a lot of these things are taken care by your DSPs who help you plan the ad tech. So I think in these two frames, while it has evolved in multiple ways, but I think in these two ways I have seen how our working has changed in the last 10 years. First is the go-to-market faster, and then human interventions or human capability errors are reduced.
Now, Kapil, I directly want to go to DPDP and how data privacy has been a concern when we are seeing the big companies putting it forward and keeping the data privacy as first concern. How are you looking at it? And when we see that third-party cookies being very discouraged, I mean, building your first-hand data, what does it take? Tell us what is your take on this, and how do you see for let's say small or mid-sized companies doing it, because it will take a lot for them to build that good infrastructure, of course. Tell us your take on this, and how will it evolve? Going forward, what can be some of the challenges when it comes to big companies looking at it as a data privacy concern? Tell us what would be something that we will look forward to.
Um, so I'm sure you would have seen privacy has become a major discussion point in the last 3 years. Privacy, especially in marketing space, and it's my personal belief that this has become a this has become a mainstream discussion because of the length that ad hoc or the ad tech took customer data. And sorry to use it, but the ads were getting creepier and creepier. The more it had more data than we wanted to share, and the ads were getting more personalized. So I think it was a pushback and a correction driven by consumers. So I think it's the best form of correction. I think the changes were led by Apple in 2021, and now I'm assuming Google will soon announce the day it will deprecate the third-party cookies. But the major discussion in the last 3 or 4 years that especially B2B companies have been having is that how do we address that maybe 3 years hence or 4 years hence. In the last 2, 3 years, a lot of effort, whether in enterprise space or B2B space, has been going into building first-party data. So reducing dependence on the third-party data brokers or data brokers, which will no longer be able to get your data, so personalization may not be as easy. We will see how the industry evolves. The targeting will not be that easy, so you will not get enough data to target, so your bang of buck will fall. And I think DPDP is an extension of that. Again, I believe it's a consumer-driven correction, and very, very welcome. And I think it will bring the innovation or the gut of a marketeer back into the space which has been overtaken by machines. So I truly believe that's a good change in the marketing space.
Very, very interesting and very important. Akhil, you want to add to it?
So I know that what Kapil also mentioned about, but I just want to talk about how the ad tech is helping us to reach out to the right customer at the right time. So for any marketer, it is very important, or the underlying objective is to reach out to a particular target audience at the right time with the right communication. So that whatever is your objective, be it awareness or it's a mid-funnel objective or a kind of a low-funnel objective, which could be conversion also, but every campaign is being set on these objective itself. So what AdTech usually does is that it helps a particular advertiser to kind of mitigate all these risks and then reach out to the TG at the right time for as per the desired kind of objective.
Now, Tom, we are seeing the ad spends going up. You would want to put forward a different take on that, but we are seeing mobile ad spends going up, and also most of it remains programmatic, and which clearly shows that digital is the way forward, as Dr. Batra also mentioned. Now, tell me, what are some of the strategies that are in place for you, for your company, and also what are some of the scope that you are focusing highly on EdTech? What are some of the strategies you're focusing on?
Yeah, so brands have moved into mass spending to smart spending recently. The reason is that there was a time when brands used to splurge money without looking at the ROI, and they don't even literally care. They want to just get the top of mind recall. But ultimately, what has happened over the last 2 to 3 years, especially after the COVID impact, was brands started thinking, should I spend so much money, or should I start spending it smartly? Like, for example, just answering a last question as well, because adding on to this, for example, like, if the brands don't have the right data and to right target, they're literally splurging money. If I reach out to somebody who doesn't even care about my product, I mean, I'm wasting money there, right? So what need to happen there is customers need to be aware how to safeguard their own data. Every platforms in the world where you actually share the data right now, there is actually a section where you can actually completely restrict sharing your data to the brands out there. If each and everyone out there who's aware about this, they can do it if they don't want to see the ads which is relevant for them. So recently what happened is, taking that point here, brands start actually spending ads which will start giving them ROI. And I've seen certain spends by many brands come to zero because they don't want to spend money there anymore. Because ultimately, especially like like you will see, there are brands coming in the major sports like IPL and out there, and you will see, look at the longer run brands. Which all brands have been there in the IPL for the last 5 years consistently? It'll be a handful. Rest of them have dropped off. They'll come one season and they'll go off. They'll see that like what is the ultimate ROI rather than brand recall that will coming might not be relevant enough. So they start spending wisely. Like if they have a handful of money, exactly they'll spend it very stringently and they'll ensure that the ROI is rightly made.
Akhil, you would want to come in and tell us how are you allocating budget and how are you leveraging Adtech?
So, if I have to talk about our overall marketing budget, most of the marketing budget is being skewed towards the digital side of things, because we are getting, like Tom also mentioned and like Kapil also mentioned earlier, we're getting the right ROI or of every money that we are spending on digital platforms. Be it any objective, be it awareness or conversion, we are getting the right kind of ROI from our spends. So if I have to talk about the ad tech tools that we are using, so in terms of the platforms or the publishers also, the major spending is happening on Google, Meta and Amazon. If we talk about Google as a platform, there is demand generation tool, there is a Performance Max tool that we are using. Performance Max tool is basically nothing but it's a tool which kind of works on the goal that you set, depending on the keyword strategy that is there, and it drives basically the ROI basis the goals. If I talk about the Meta as a platform, there is Advantage Plus Shopping. It kind of works in tandem with the Meta AI itself. So what it does is that you don't have to kind of set a particular set of creatives or the copies. You kind of feed in a kind of an Excel file or a feed itself in the tool, and then basis the audience that is there that you want to target, Meta AI itself decides which kind of communication should be shown to which TG. So it's kind of a personalized or tailored messaging that we are showing to the audience basis the objective that you have set. So yeah.
Kapil, your take, and also you you work in a very different set where these two guys work, B2C and B2B. They're really different. Not that different, but different. How tell us how are you allocating budget and how are you looking at leveraging ad tech in your space?
B2B organizations in general, even if, so we have one product company, most software companies are. B2B organizations in general, they will have different goals outside of revenue. So while ROS is important, then we have our metrics which are close to our heart, which is CAC and LTV and so on and so forth. When we look at ad tech, we don't look at campaign in isolation. We don't look at ad tech in isolation. What we do, or what we aim to do, hopefully, is that we look at customer and customer journeys. Our MarTech infra is built in a sense that it integrates with multiple tools and signals, and as an intervention, if it requires to advertise to that person, it allows us to advertise to hundreds of cohorts at the same time. So all of it runs in automation. That's what AdTech allows us to do. So if I know a particular user has visited a website, is up for a renewal, has done this kind of behavior, have done these events, and have opened 5 different mails, this kind of mails, had taken this action, I would show that person a different kind of ad. And that's what AdTech allows us. And because it integrates with all the systems. So all systems work in unison. And that's how we look at AdTech and MarTech. And we look at it from a customer journeys lens.
Interesting, interesting. Now in our final question, we'll discuss about how AdTech will change the marketing ecosystem. Now, quickly talk about some of the trends that are here to stay. And if you can make some of the predictions, what will you see in next 5 years? Anybody would want to take it up first?
Yeah, it's a generation of AI right now. The talk of the day is AI. I mean, I'll talk about one specific thing that's happening, which really amazed me right now. All of us are very aware of ChatGPT and everything out there. I came across a platform like it blew my mind. And for example, they smartly integrated like the AI tools into Amazon. And for example, like every Amazon market is out there, you will get to know. For example, there was an interesting question. You can go in, instead of looking at the entire data out there, And instead of understanding or scrolling through every data, I can just go and type what is the, like I want to find out the ads with so-and-so ROAS giving me so-and-so ROI with minimum spends of X thousand, and they literally give the answer to me. And this platform was for Amazon specific, I think, and it was called Hector. And they literally were able to see. So this is a generation that I'm talking about. Like AI will be delving in detail into each and every ad platforms, and they will finally deliver and make our life much easier. Like it won't be just in front of targeting customers, but it'll help the overall backend to be much more easier, making the data to be much more precise, and helping the individuals and the marketeers to make their marketing calls in much more evolved way. For example, the data points will be delivered to them on plate, and where the marketers will be able to dissect it much better. Then the human touch could come in, making that AI database and the point to be much more impactful and effective for the world out there. So my point would be, in next 3 to 4 years, the the marketeers will ensure that the AI that is going to be there in every ad tech will make the marketing much more effective and efficient.
Good to know, good to know.
So I just want to kind of add on to what Tom said. If in the next 3 4 years, what I am perceiving is that AI will be kind of mixed with the machine learning and also the predictive learning that's there. What it will entail is that as a marketer, will have enhanced customer segmentation. You'll get to know what kind of customer cohorts that you want to target, and also if you know about the interest, that then the tool which will be enabled by AI machine learning, what will it will do is that it will kind of create the lookalike audiences of those kind of cohorts, and then with the tool itself you will be able to show personalized ads to them. So overall the whole journey would be very personalized, and that will be a kind of a very beneficial to any advertiser for that matter. So I think it's moving the positive direction, the right direction.
Kapil, what would you say? Will ads be less creepier now?
No, no. So I'll just repeat. I think the reason I think all three of us are saying that, I will also say Gen I is a hot conversation topic, because I think we all three get pitched the same thing by the same agency partners. Uh, the 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 risk I see, or not risk and opportunity I see today we are running campaigns where I only give them a English video of the product, and I tell the tool, okay, tell the DSP that this is what I want to achieve, whether it's leads or revenue, depending on the outcome. Depending on user behavior, DSP today, not in future, today, they are showing the converting in real time that video into Tamil, Kannada, Hindi, any language, and choosing the inventory, whether it's search, discovery, display, demand gen, whatever, of their own, and deciding which is the best inventory, which is the best mode of communication, which is the best copy, and trying to maximize the outcome. That is happening today. So I'm very fearful of me being redundant in 2 years, 3 years, Gen I being the hot topic it is.
What should one to do to not be redundant and be very relevant to the
No, no,
times?
no, no. So I think understanding this, and I think sticking to fundamentals, when Anurag rightly pointed out, I think marketing fundamentals will not change. It hasn't changed for the last 3 decades, 4 decades. You have an audience, you want something to say, and you want certain outcome. The tools, underlying tools might have changed, but I think they will keep on evolving.
Good. Thank you, Kapil. Tom, now tell me, has digital completely taken over? What has been your understanding or dissection for allocating spends? I mean, can we really say that digital has completely taken over what has been the traditional forms of marketing, or do I still get to see some of the OOHs happening, newspapers happening? Because clearly I am somebody who writes for magazine, and I would never want it to die, and it will never. But what is your take? How are you looking at it, and what is your strategy and understanding when it comes to dissection and allocating budgets?
Resham, I'm going to say something controversial right now. I hope it won't get controversial. Like
We
the
get
brand,
something interesting for headlines.
if the brands say they're digital first, then they have very limited budget to spend outside of digital. That is the reason why they don't. They're just saying they're digital first. But I think, like, every mediums are very important. Trust me, like every single medium is very important because omni-channel and ensuring that every different cohort that actually comes and a different angle need to be very important out there. Because if you run an ad just via digital, like I think there will be an ROI and everything, but the long-term game is not there. The long-term game is you need to ensure that you smartly understand where my customers are there and my spends need to go directly. For example, a jewelry brand, let's consider like they don't have much budget. They know like if they don't have much budget and they know that a particular like city or a cohort where their customers are definitely there or there are 100 marriages going to happen there, exactly there. Put up a billboard there. You will see like the customers walking in increasing there because that is the best, one of the best mediums still out there. I mean, digital is the next big thing out there, but newspapers and the traditional media is still very important, very important because for marketeers, having an omni-channel is very important for there. As everyone has mentioned, the fundamentals are not changed. Like Philip Kotler's book is still very important, but how to look at that book is what has changed. Like you might look at a principle 10 years back in a different way. Right now, you look at completely in a very different outlook. So digital is there, but I think every other medium is very important for, still important and is relevant.
Interesting, Tom. Akhil, I can see you nodding, but any different take to it?
No, I completely agree with Tom here. So basically, us as a brand, we kind of reach out to the premium target audience. For us, digital is more important, but yes, we do out-of-home activities also. In the next 3-4 months, we are just moving towards the festive season of India. You'll see airport hoardings or airport out-of-home activations from our side. That is very important just to reach out to that premium set of audience and just to create a kind of brand saliency or recall outside of those digital platforms. So yeah, not only digital, but yes, the other mediums or the other marketing channels are also important for us. Yeah.
Kapil, anything you would want to add to this before we actually close?
So our TG is small and medium businesses in the smallest of towns of India and globally. And I cannot emphasize the importance of storytelling when you're talking to that TG. And storytelling, and I think digital ad tech has become too transactional in a sense. So there is an absolute, there's an absolute space for all kind of media when you're doing the storytelling because you would need a long form content, you would need a physical form of content, maybe print or a magazine, you would need a TV because you want to convey that emotion that may not always be possible, let's say through a bumper ad on a YouTube or let's say any other digital form.
Interesting. In this era where the customer retention is very fragmented across the channel, the big question of retaining their attention will be the biggest concern for all the marketers. Thank you so much for making time for this. Thank you so much for very great insights for all the young marketers and the whole ecosystem. Thank you so much. Back to you. Can we have a huge round of applause for our panelists?